So this is a message directed to Petco, but I'm also going to need the help of a lot of you Savannah monitor experienced keepers on this video. So firstly, welcome back to Northern Exotics. We're a reptile YouTube channel that talks all things reptile related, whether it be specific species care, breed your own live food, general lovely, amazing little reptile hacks that can save you a bit of money. We go through absolutely everything on this channel. Something's gonna help you out in the long run. If that's something you're interested in, please consider subscribing. In this video, we're talking about somebody who's had bad advice from a big company, and it's just frustrated me, and we want to go through and help this person out. I'm going to need your help for this one. Let's go. This is one of those things where I never ever thought I'd do. A lot of the big conglomerate companies, just like Petco and PetSmart, Pets at Home, they're going to get some hate. They're a massive store. Along with the hate comes the love. But it seems so common that Petco and PetSmart get hated so often, especially in my comment section. Take, for example, the comment I've recently had on one of my videos. I'm not going to say which one, I'm not going to say who, all that sort of stuff. But he's recently brought a Savannah monitor from Petco. There's nowhere else around him, anywhere near him, that he can get a Savannah monitor. He's been wanting a Savannah monitor for so long. He's done years of research on my videos, on other videos, on online forums, on general Google searches, lots of stuff. He's followed every bit of advice that I've given him on how to care for a Savannah monitor. He's got into the position where he finally can care for a Savannah monitor correctly. He goes to Petco. He goes to Petco, gets himself a Savannah monitor. They give him the advice he needs, all that sort of stuff. They do all their checks, perfect. He gets home, it wouldn't eat. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, it wouldn't eat. He was feeding it exactly how we'd all suggest feeding him. They're an insectivore, so feed them insects and bugs and stuff like that. He's done all his research, he's doing everything correct. His enclosure's correct, his temperature, his humidity, absolutely everything is perfect. So why shouldn't this animal eat? The only explanation I could think was he just needs a little bit of time to adjust into the new surroundings, and so on and so on and so on. But when he's had it for a while and it's still not eating, he phones up Petco, the exact store that he got him from, and their advice was feed him live mice. Yeah, you're probably all doing exactly like me there, like, oh, here we go, Petco stories again. Feed him live mice. And do you know what happened? The lad went, he needs to eat, I've got to do it. He was so sorry about having to do it, but he needs to do it, so he did it. And it worked, straight away, bang. So, this tells me a number of things. Number one, it must be a captive bred Savannah monitor, because if it was a baby captive bred Savannah monitor and it's been fed rodents, live rodents, its entire life, that's all it's going to know. So it's going to be a hard transition getting him from rodents over to live food, your bugs and stuff like that. If this was a wild caught Savannah monitor, it would already be used to bugs and grubs and stuff like that, so it would feed perfectly happily on live food. That's what makes me think this one is a captive bred baby. So kudos, they could be selling captive bred baby Savannah monitors. That's a good thing. However, on the flip side of that, why are you feeding your Savannah monitors, or why are you even advising to feed Savannah monitors live mice when they're just not good for Savannah monitors, especially for babies? Savannah monitors, if anybody wants to know what the correct diet for Savannah monitors is, I'll stick a card just up here, and that'll be a video dedicated to their correct diet, what you should be feeding your Savannah monitor. So now this subscriber is asking, how can I transition over from live mice to insectivores? So massive round of applause to you for wanting to do that. That's a good thing, and for looking at the research of how to do that. It's a common fault that's not really brought up that much. People just stick to live mice, so I applaud you for that. But this is where I'm going to need all you experienced Savannah monitor keepers who are watching this to comment in the comment section below and give your advice. How can this subscriber go from live mice over to an insectivore diet? All I can think, there's a couple of options that I can think of, and these are just off the top of my head and right now, but Savannah monitors are scavengers in the wild. So if you, it sounds cruel, but starve him for a few days, he may just no food at all, no stress. Let him settle into his enclosure first. Then maybe starve him for a few days and then try introducing some bugs into there. Some quite active bugs that he's gonna have to chase. And that'll add a thrill into it and a catch it. When he catches it, he eats it. And he's like, oh, this is quite nice. Make sure your bugs are gut loaded and stuff like that. But that's one option you possibly could do. Another option is to just simply persevere with feeding live food. He's going to get to a point where this is where you're going to have to train your Savannah monitor to eat live food, and it can take some time and it can be quite tricky because Savannah monitors are extremely intelligent animals. If you go trying to give him live food, bugs, crickets, dubia roaches, locusts, absolutely anything like that, and you give up before the Savannah monitor does, he's going to learn, like if you take all the bugs out, then feed him a live mouse, he's going to learn that he just has to wait around and be stubborn and not eat the live food before you'll give him the actual live mouse. So you want to be really, really strategic with this, really put some energy into it and persevere. Just keep offering live food at every single meal. He will eventually take one. Once he starts taking one, don't give him a live mouse. Just keep persevering with the actual live food continuously. And if you do end up with some live mice, just make them your pets. You'll have pet live mice. Bonus, you'll have an extra pet. But this is one of the things that frustrates me, and I never ever thought I would actually make a video, dear Petco, slating Petco. But to tell your customers to feed the incorrect diet to a rather large animal, that's something that needs to be sorted out. Now, how you can rectify this issue, not just this issue, but this general worldwide issue, staff training costs an awful lot of money. It doesn't if you do it this way. Sit them all in a room for 20 minutes and stick one of my videos on. It doesn't have to be my videos, could be anybody's videos, as long as it's the correct information and the most up-to-date information. That's one way you can do. I give you permission to use my content to train staff if you need to. I don't think you will, and it'd be quite cringy if you do, but it's a possibility. Find some content on YouTube. It's a massive platform full of content. Find the correct advice, the correct content, the most up-to-date content, and use it for staff training if you need to. It's only going to give your staff a much wider knowledge and help them out in the long run. I don't understand this because Petco are going to make an awful lot more money selling live food, bugs and stuff like that to your Savannah monitor keepers than they do selling live mice. Where's the logic in that? Yes, the live mouse did get the Savannah monitor eating, but it's not the correct diet. So now this keeper has to go through the heartache and the pressure and the stress trying to get him back onto the correct diet with the correct calcium powders and all that sort of stuff. It's really frustrating, but you can do better, Petco. This is aimed directly at Petco because this is the one that comes up the most in my comment section below anyway. If there is anybody watching this who wants to know the correct care for a Savannah monitor, I'll stick a video up here. Petco, feel free to use that in any training that you do need to do. But this is just really frustrating. The odd, and the very, very odd mouse is not at the end of the world. It really isn't. They may eat the odd one out in the wild, but it's not their wild diet. Their wild diet is solely insectivore related. But if you do decide to use mice as the very rare occasional treat, make sure it's a frozen, thawed rodent. You don't want to feed live food. And for those people that are in the UK, and we call them Bosk monitors in the UK because a gentleman called Lewis Bosk brought them into Europe. But it's illegal to feed live rodents in the UK. Just something for you guys to think about. So now in the UK, we have a shop called Pets at Home, and that's exactly like Petco and PetSmart. It's a big supermarket pet store. Now they've stopped selling reptiles. To my knowledge, they've stopped selling reptiles anyway. I mean, comment below if you know anything different. But within 20 miles of me, there is no reptiles for sale in chain supermarkets. And that's down to the companies have realised that they can no longer safely and properly care for these animals in captivity, so they don't. It costs too much money for them to look after these animals in captivity, so it's financially viable for them to not have these animals in their shops. Maybe that's something you at Petco and PetSmart want to start looking into. You've not only done wrong by the animal and given him false pretenses, he's going to think he's growing on this fatty sweet. It's not the case. Now you've done wrong by the animal by doing this, but you've also done wrong by your customer, because now your customer's got to go through all this pressure and the heartache of getting it back into the proper correct diet, the proper growth rate. You think if you keep feeding, what happens if you keep feeding mice or rodents to your Savannah monitor? He's going to get overweight, especially if you haven't got a large enough enclosure. He won't be able to burn off all those extra calories. The rodents are just full of fat and goo. That's it really, and that's not a good diet for your Savannah monitor. I've done videos on this in the past. I'll stick another one just here for you to have a flick on, but that's it. That's the end of this video. Petco, please sort it out. There's loads of resources out there where you can sort it out and it will cost you absolutely nothing but half an hour of your staff's time once every 6 months. That's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you've appreciated this, if you've liked it, hit the thumbs up button. I hope you all can help this subscriber.